Welcome back to an unexpected art lesson where we talk about the art and impact of Vincent van Gogh.
And interestingly enough, there is two German art historians actually have written up a thesis on Gauguin actually have committing the ear mutilation situation. So there is actually some concrete findings on it that possibly could point to more information.
Interesting. What I was thinking is the argument starts back up again. It starts getting physical. I could easily see, something sharp comes out. Next thing you know, part of his ear's on the floor. And whether Van Gogh fully believed that he did it, or is just like, it's okay, I'll tell them it was me, or I don't know. We're probably never going to know unless one of them wrote it down in detail and that writing survived until today what actually happened, but I am a little pleased with myself that there's other people who had that same thought. And that's not too out there.
No, and just skimming through the journal here, one of the notes that I would need to double check the footnotes to make sure of validity, but a letter from Van Gogh's brother, or a letter to Van Gogh's brother, he claims Paul is one of those should never be in possession of a weapon.
Backs my theory.
It does. And intriguing.
So that does leave you to wonder, how did the story get perpetuated that Van Gogh was the one who did that to himself? Who started that? Who fed that?
Yeah, it does kind of lead you to wonder how well mental illness was listened to back in the era of Van Gogh.
It ain't listened to that great nowadays.
Fair enough.
I mean, it is significantly better. But for all we know, Van Gogh could have been like, no, that was him. Everyone was like, oh no, you did it to yourself. You did it to yourself. And he could have been gaslit into believing he did it to himself.
Yeah.
At least it didn't go as poorly as some other ways people have treated individuals with mental illness. Some of that stuff gets dark.
Oh yeah. This particular piece is definitely stylistically a little bit different than Starry Night, obviously. It still has kind of that hallmark look, or like the well-noted look of Van Gogh building up those brush strokes with impasto, but at the same time, he experimented a little bit with some of the painting as well, especially with the ukiyo-e, with the almost gauzy look of the print behind himself.
It's a fascinating callback, seeing how he interpreted those prints in his own style, which is, as you said, very intense detail with the brush strokes, and also it's more swirly. It's like there's more emotion in his work.
It truly feels like it is, again, another one of Van Gogh's well-known pieces, and in my opinion, another like a fantastic example of how a self-portrait goes far beyond just simple imagery.
It's not just what he looks like, it's how he sees himself. His real self.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he didn't know exactly who he was, figuring out your identity can be hard sometimes, especially if you live in a time and a place surrounded by people who don't really understand, and you don't have the words and the having some way to understand not only who you are, but the fact that there are other people who also experience this.
Yeah. I feel that Van Gogh's isolation is definitely something that helped drive him, but at the same time probably haunted him.
Oh, for sure. Isolation can be brutal. Feeling alone and cut off, especially when you are still surrounded by people, it sucks. Especially when you're super surrounded by people. I remember my first time going to Gen Con, there was a moment where I was just wandering around and I'm like, I'm surrounded by 80,000 people and I don't know any of these people. I ended up just messaging a friend. I'm like, hi, so I feel a little lost. Can I just kind of come hang out with you? And the friend was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go, like, check out the vendor hall. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to just kind of follow you around, but I just need a person. I'm definitely that person who goes to a party, finds other people that they know, and just kind of sticks around with them. Either that or someone else does that to me, and I'm like, okay. The next piece is sunflowers, which I do love that I get to talk about it because it just so happens my mom loves sunflowers, and I think we have some in our backyard. We did not plant them, but we do have bird feeders. So the sunflowers got planted, we now have sunflowers in our backyard. This one was painted in 1888, so it's a normal piece. And at first glance, this might seem just like a pretty picture of some flowers, but when you start to really look at it, you realize that there's something almost obsessive about the way Van Gogh renders like each individual sunflower and the petals and just the details. He uses the same intensity that he brings to his self-portraits. Each petal and leaf quivering with barely contained energy. They feel alive. The colors are impossibly vivid, the yellow practically glowing against the dark background. It captures some of his manic intensity of his creative process and how he pours his entire being into even the simplest of subjects. Also, fun fact, in the Doctor Who episode, he makes a comment about, like, he hates sunflowers. Like, it makes the comment about, like, how he doesn't like them or something, but, like, Amy mentions that she loves it, so when they go back to the future, one of the sunflower paintings has a little note for her on it.
Aww.
I'm just like, ah. I cry. When I Google Van Gogh's opinion on sunflowers, I do not believe him hating them is very accurate. What do you have for us on his sunflowers?
So, of course, the sunflowers, he has done a total of 5 large canvases of sunflowers in a vase, mostly working off of 3 primary shades of yellow and very little else. From an artistic standpoint, it demonstrates how it is possible to create an image with numerous variations of a single color and not lose any of the beauty in that work itself. The fact is that he'd actually managed to do that much with very little differentiation in paint is, well, one, the fact is that he was able to actually make those colors and successfully keep reproducing them is phenomenal. Somebody who does oil painting and often has a run of, okay, I made this color. All right, now I made this color instead, and have to kind of blend it into the current painting. I can feel that one. In terms of what Van Gogh thought of sunflowers, it's kind of an interesting question. They communicated gratitude, is what he had wrote to his brother Theo. The first 2 of them in the room of his friend Gogh, who came to live with him for a while in the Yellow House, which, interestingly enough, he thought they were completely Vincent. Which, when you think about that, the fact is that this rather interesting individual who was often plagued by mental illness, a portrait of bright yellow sunflowers is completely him is an interesting question.
Well, if you think about it, sunflowers are a balance of they've got the bright yellow, but also like deep brown and black in the center. It's on the outside is where you see the brightness in the sun, and they reach up towards the light, but at the center there is a darkness there. If you look in the paintings, there are some that are in full bloom, yes, that are vibrant and healthy. But it looks like in all of them, there's at least 1 or 2 that are wilting and dying.
Yeah, this is another painting that I have seen in person. The thickness of the brushstrokes, again, like just that impasto painting where it is, he builds up these thick layers of paint to create the image itself is fascinating. And your point on the impermanence of life, especially with these bright, vivid sunflowers, that even they eventually do die.
And they are a mix of bright and dark, good and bad. Put air quotes around the good and the bad and you get what I mean, but there's the bright, light, happy, beautiful petals But then in the center of the sunflower, it gets much darker and it's a little like pricklier and it's not as pretty, but that is still an important part of these beautiful, strong flowers that grow tall, but they do die. They don't bloom forever. Do all of these have an odd number of sunflowers? I don't know if that means anything at all whatsoever, but as I'm looking, I'm like, we've got 3, and then this one's got 7. I think they might all have an odd number of sunflowers.
Yeah. There could actually be some significance to that.
Things being off balance, off kilter, uneven. I'm looking at the BBC website. There's a version of it was destroyed in Japan due to fire during World War II. That one's got 5 in it. Yeah, it's interesting.
Another kind of comment of the sunflowers to his brother Van Gogh had actually commented, "I'm painting with the gusto of a Marseillais eating bouillabaisse," which won't surprise you when it's a question of painting large sunflowers. That is one heck of a phrase.
I'm still trying to put it together because I know bouillabaisse is like a type of like soup, I think.
Yeah.
It's like a soup or a stew in Marseille as in France.
Yes.
Okay. He's a soup guy. Good to know.
Soup is always a go-to for... And I should not have looked up bouillabaisse because now I'm hungry again. Dang it.
Yeah, my first thought when you said that was bourguignon. It's a type of like spaghetti sauce. That's Italian, but Marseille is French. I'm like, wait, no, you said bouillabaisse. Yeah. You said bouillabaisse. There's a difference. I would have to Google to be able to spell either one of those. I'm also mildly distracted that they do have one of those kind of like 3D Lego sets for the sunflowers. And I'm like, ooh, that's pretty, but it's $200. But it's so cool.
Lego has actually done both sunflowers and Starry Night.
That doesn't surprise me, considering I've also seen, I had a friend who was doing one where it was the Milky Way galaxy.
Cool. I will admit, small part of me still wants to try and hunt down the Starry Night just so I can have a Van Gogh minifigure.
Fair. That does sound fun, but so you've touched on like the intensity of his brushwork. What about his approach to painting? What else about that made his work so unique?
One of the things that I've touched on this term before, it's one of the more striking aspects of Van Gogh's work is his distinctive brushwork. The technique that I've discussed before is called impasto, where paint is laid on the canvas in these thick, textured strokes. This is what creates this sense of depth and movement. What helps these painted surfaces feel almost like sculptures, and ironically enough, helps translate into making those fantastic Lego displays as well, where it's something that helps set his work apart and really makes it an interesting way to depict his work with Lego, as it adds that texture in as well.
Yeah, it makes it feel more real, like you aren't just looking at a painting of sunflowers. It's like the sunflowers are slightly coming off of the paper. Like you could reach out and touch them, which just doesn't have... I am in no way encouraging anyone attempting to touch any paintings anywhere. The only time it is socially acceptable to touch a painting is A, if you own it, or B, if the artist is standing right next to you and gives you explicit verbal permission. Otherwise, do not touch.
And on behalf of some of the museum security that I've seen around paintings of this caliber, they agree with you venomously.
I had the moment of, I need to clarify something. I need to just make sure that this is like blatantly clear.
Continuing on, we're going to talk about the Starry Night in particular. The swirling brushstrokes almost seem to make the sky pulse with energy. These thick dabs of paint used for the stars and the moon, again, give that tactile presence. Similarly, in another piece of his known as Wheatfield with Crows, the same kind of techniques are in play there, where these brushstrokes create a sense of turbulence and almost an emotional agitation. And considering Van Gogh, I'm pretty sure that agitation is definitely there.
We're getting a glimpse of what the inside of his head looks like.
Yeah. It's always one of those fascinating things to see how he puts that much energy into painting the night sky and these particular types of backgrounds where it's not just a flat color or some type of light brushstrokes to give the texture, but each piece of the night sky is rendered and time again.
Because this isn't something that you can just do all in one go. It's something where, like, you have to let things dry before you go back and add more and make sure that you have it the way you want it. So imagine watching the process of starting from that blank canvas until we get Starry Night. That would be mesmerizing.
Yeah, it is an insane amount of work to actually build up that much.
But it might have been therapeutic for him, almost a way to escape, to disappear into his work. To lose himself in making sense of what he can see and trying to put the way he sees the world on paper in a way that would make sense to other people, to try and share that beauty as well as maybe even some of the madness that goes with the way he sees the world.
I wholeheartedly agree. The other thing that does really stand out about his brushwork and his art in general is the color choices are especially bold as well. He often uses complementary colors, so colors that are opposite to each other in the color wheel, that create these very vibrant, almost luminescent contrasts. So for an example of another piece, in Cafe Terrace at Night, the deep blues of the night sky vibrate against these warm yellows of the cafe lights. This color contrast creates this sense of energy and intensity that any other artist, it would feel weird if they painted something that showed this much energy in simple surroundings. Well, Van Gogh, it seems so much more at home.
I've actually seen, I think at one point we had in our house a shower curtain that had a print of that on it. And even in the shower curtain, it still looked like you could just walk in. That's just a place that you could walk by. His stuff, it feels real. Even when, it is obvious that this is made with, paint and pigment, and it's not always specifically done in a realistic style. But that doesn't make it feel less real, less vibrant, less it's something you could interact with. I was about to say reach out and touch, but I did just go on a whole spiel about do not touch paintings without permission. It's stunning also the amount of time it would have had to take him, and not having a sterile work environment, having to deal with actual environmental factors as well as all the other things of what life was like back then. The amount of dedication is stunning. Because the man had to find some way to eat, and his artwork wasn't really doing it, but that didn't stop him from pouring his time and his effort into creating these beautiful paintings.
I totally agree. And continuing on his color choices, he also had on occasion used color symbolically, such as the general hypothesis of his choices of yellows in many of his later paintings, such as the Sunflower series, are often seen as expressions of hope and spiritual aspiration. And then, of course, in contrast to those, the deep blues and greens in paintings like The Potato Eaters convey the hardship and toil of rural life.
And then a lot of his paintings, he used both, finding those bits of hope in the hardship. I was pulling up The Potato Eaters. This one feels like it's meant to be more realistic than some of his other work, but the contrast of the spots of light coming from both the lamp and seen on the table and seen shining on some of the faces. It's like those little pockets of hope that, yes, things are hard, we're struggling, the world is kind of bad right now, But we're here around the table, and there's hope. We will find hope in each other.
Very good read of that. I like that.
Also, I'm now thinking finding hope in French fries.
Oh, that is delightful, terrible, and apt.
Simple joy of French fries or like cheesy potatoes. Like you make that cheesy potato casserole where you got the potatoes all nice and sliced up. I've gone like way off track, mostly because I'm also making myself hungry.
We've just discovered McDonald's newest advertising angle.
Oh, they have a jigsaw puzzle of that one. That would be a fun challenge.
I can feel my glasses prescription being increased just staring at that jigsaw puzzle concept.
Yeah, you can probably find most, if not all, of his work in puzzles or Lego sets or things like that. You can experience what it is to bring those pieces to life and gain more familiarity with the details of those pieces in your kitchen or your dining room or wherever you have a surface that you put puzzle pieces on. We have to be careful because Finn will eat them. Thankfully, that's only happened to one and he didn't eat it all. But there is something rather enjoyable about putting puzzles together of both well-known and lesser-known art pieces.
Yeah, I'd say that definitely would be an adventure, and I'd say it would be Van Gogh's level of frustrating at the end if you realize that the dog ate one piece and you didn't discover this fact.
Yeah, it just adds a little character to it.
Battle damage!
Yeah, the potato eaters is interesting because I haven't heard of that one, which that doesn't say a whole lot. But it is very visually different than some of his other work. Like, yes, he uses some of the same themes, but it just feels different. It still feels like him.
The Potato Eaters was actually the fourth painting I was going to discuss, but as the other three pieces are so much more of his more recognizable work and definitely has some more interesting ways to talk about, I was going to include this as well for kind of the dissection process.
Gotcha. So we'll definitely be coming back to touch base on this one because it is interesting. I've also got the Van Gogh Gallery website pulled up, and there's an article on the Potato Eaters.
Ah.
It's vangoghgallery.com. Thanks for listening to An Unexpected Art Lesson, the show where we talk about everything you didn't know about art. This week, continuing to focus on the art and impact of Vincent van Gogh. If you like what we're doing, you can follow us on social media and join the conversation over at An Unexpected Art Lesson on Threads, Blue Sky, and Substack. And you can also support us over on Patreon. Get early access to episodes and other fun things at patreon.com/anunexpectedartlesson.